139 years before Christ, Marco Popilio Laenas was the consul in charge of Hispania Citerior, while Quinto Servilio Scipion was the proconsul of the Ulterior. As seen in the last video, after losing to Numancia, Popilio went to assist Scipion in Hispania Ulterior to avoid further defeats against the Celtiberians. It was in this year that the combination of both Roman armies and a betrayal in the Lusitanian ranks ended the life of Viriato, and subsequently, his successor, Tantalo, ending the Lusitanian Wars. In 138 before Christ, Popilio became proconsul of Hispania Citerior, and Decimus Junius Brutus was appointed consul of the Ulterior. Popilio returned from Hispania Ulterior and made another attempt to take Numancia. The attack was lackluster. At the first setback, he withdrew to his province with his army. The attack had been more of a mere formality, so that in the eyes of the Senate it could be seen that he had tried at least. Obviously, taking Numancia would give a huge boost to the general who achieved it, but this is because many had failed. Here we can see the personality of Popilio. He was a very cautious man, who did not want to risk losing a battle, consequently putting a black mark on his military record. He preferred to go unnoticed. The rest of the year saw only minor skirmishes between Romans and Numentinos in Celtiberian territory and allies. These small fights usually resulted in victories for the Celtiberians, thanks to their knowledge of the terrain and their quite polished guerrilla tactics. For his part, Junius Brutus decided to give the veterans of the war against Viriathus lands in Valencia de Tanorum, which means City of the Brave, the current Valencia. The consul had the mission to definitively subdue the rebels. Despite the Lusitanians lacking a united army or single leader like Viriathus, they separately attacked the Roman territory under Junius Brutus, who led his consular army and the troops in Spain. Later he left Cordoba for Lusitania. He quickly understood that chasing the guerrillas was practically an impossible task. The Lusitanians, or guerrillas from any other culture, simply fled to the mountains or forests where they could never be found by the Romans, as they knew the terrain like the back of their hand. But indeed, they were all born, raised, and had families in some of the cities of Hispania. That's why the consul decided to emulate Gracco, who, as seen previously, in 180 before Christ, he had completely destroyed the Celtiberians and had taken away their will to fight for almost 3 decades. In this way, when the guerrillas saw their cities in danger, they would go to defend them and die, in the act saving the legions huge amounts of time that they would have wasted combing the mountains. Although, of course, when the Celtiberians decided to rebel again, they did it in a big way. They saw the beginning of the Great Humantina, which had not yet ended after 16 years of almost continuous conflict. Be cautious with his strategy choice. He finally started his plan and ravaged Lusitania. Apparently, part of the guerrillas were made up of Bracari soldiers, who are a tribe belonging to the Gallicos, located in the north of present-day Portugal. The Roman army crossed the Duero River and dedicated itself to fighting the Bracari, basically devastating their villages and cities. Junius Brutus faced an unknown challenge, a collision between Bracari and other Galician tribes totaling 60,000 men. The Romans won the battle, and as a lesson they decided that they would also have to loot all of present-day Galicia. Here takes place what is possibly a legend. The Romans reached the Limia River, which they believed was the Lethe River. According to Greek mythology, the Lethe River is one of the rivers of Hades, and whoever crosses it completely loses their memory. So the legions refused to cross. The legend begins here. It is said that the consul took a legion standard and crossed the river alone. From the other side of Limia, he raised the standard. He called all the legionnaires of his army by their name, to prove that he had not lost his memory. His men crossed without fear and with high morale. They proceeded to devastate the entire Galician territory and to take and subdue its cities. The problem Rome faced was that the cities were subdued, but when the army left them and continued with its mission, the cities would rebel again. An example mentioned by Appian is the city of Talabriga. Here there is a huge confusion. It is not known where the city was. It depends on the edition of Appian that is read. The city is called Talabriga Olambrica, multiplying the possible places where it can be found. I simply have to mention that this city was besieged 3 times, until the consul got tired and after winning the last time, he seized their horses, wheat, gold, and all their valuable possessions. This campaign earned ex-Junius Brutus the nickname of Gallico, referring to his battles in Gaia, Aetia, present-day Galicia. Here I have to note something. The territory invaded by Brutus did not become part of Rome as a province. Technically, they came under the dominion or protection of the governor of Hispania Ulterior, but they also retained their autonomy. This campaign had been a pacification of the territory, planting the seed for future Romanization, until they were finally fully integrated into the Roman Empire sometime later. The following year, in the year 137 before Christ, Junius Brutus received the position of proconsul in further Spain, while Popilius was replaced by the newly elected consul Gaius Hostilius. Mancinus. Mancinus headed without hesitation to Numantia, determined to take the city once and for all. The humiliation felt by the Senate was such that when they learned of the agreement, they ordered Mancinus to return immediately to Rome to be tried. He was replaced by the other consul of that year, Marcus Aemilius Lepidus Porcina. Apparently the rumors were false and Mancinus was found guilty, although it is not exactly known of what. What is known is that he was stripped of his Roman citizenship and was handed over unarmed to the Numantines, who refused to keep him and did not even kill him. Such was the affront suffered by the Roman people that Plutarch described Mancinus as the most unfortunate general among all the Romans. And returning to Hispania, Celtiberian had received a new general and fresh troops. So we will soon see a new attempt to take the city. The question is, will Rome manage to win this time? Here ends this chapter of the history of Hispania. I hope you enjoyed it and don't hesitate to leave me in the comments any doubts left in the inkwell or any idea that you think could help improve the quality of the videos. Also, don't hesitate to hit like if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you want to see how our story continues.